Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. Both Mom and I are happy to have you on with us again today. And we're super excited today. We have Shavonne Readus. She's professionally known as V. She is the Tarot BFF, intuitive mistress of red light readings. She's a confidence catalyst, an energy alchemist, and an enthusiast for all things tarot. She's a professional reader, teacher, mentor, and author, and has presented at divination conferences both in the United States and internationally. As a former speech and language pathologist, Shavonne has a passion for helping others communicate effectively, taking the passion and infusing tarot to decipher a client's best approach to expressing their authenticity, authority, and audacity in the world brings joy to her heart. She lives in Detroit, Michigan with her husband and two children, and she is the author of Tarot for the Flawed and Fearless. So welcome. We're super excited to have you on the podcast with us today.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, I have to say, one of my questions was when I was reading your bio, and I don't often write questions,
No.
um, but what intrigued me, and I'd love to use this as sort of maybe a stepping off point to where we're going, is I had read that in eighth grade you took an Ouija board to the field day at your
Yes,
Catholic middle school.
How did
that I
that
did.
go?
That I did. That is that was the hallmark of girl, you are strange. So yes, I went to a very predominant Catholic school here in Metro Detroit, and we had field day. And I've always been a little peculiar, very interested in things I could not understand, the mysteries of life, if you will. And one Christmas, I asked my great aunts for a Ouija board, and they were so happy to get me one. So during this field day, I was like, they said, bring your board games. And I was like, great. So I brought my Ouija board. That was my board game, you know? It was not looked highly upon at all by the nuns or the teachers. And, but it was in that moment that I recognized that my interests were different than a lot of the kids around me, you know? It was also kind of like the mark of, um, yes, you can have like your own little huddle, if you will, of people you can teach, you can tell people what you do as long as it's socially acceptable. Ouija boards are not socially acceptable. That is the first lesson that I found out, just about my gifts, my talents, my skills, and my interests. So it's like, don't talk about that. Yeah, did not
Great.
go over well.
Yeah, I bet it didn't.
I can't even imagine when I read that when I was reading your bio. I was like, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine how that went. But
Yeah,
good that you were so free that you felt like that was no big deal, right?
Yeah.
So
and yeah, in my house and in my family, kind of growing up, it there wasn't. So here's the thing: we didn't talk a whole lot about gifts and talents and things of that nature. But I also wasn't deterred from it. I knew things growing up that, 6-year-old might not have known or should not have known. But asking for a Ouija board, playing with the Ouija board, it was never shunned. And so I didn't think anything was wrong with it, taking it out into public. Again, the socially acceptable when you get out into the world, and it's just like, oh no, we don't do that, And so then it was just like, oh, let me reel all of this back in then.
yeah. So
So
then when
yeah.
did you really start finding your calling to do tarot and all these other mystical things that you do?
So I feel like the first calling was I got my undergraduate in New Orleans. If you have ever been to New Orleans, it is like
No.
spooky capital of the world, mystical space of the world,
It's on
I
the
just
wish
had this
list.
calling. Yes. Okay. Yes. It is. It has its own energy. I'm from Michigan, so I tell people went from the mitten to the boot. I want to get as far away from home as I could. But New Orleans just called to me, and just being in that energy, still not really knowing much about, other things on the side of the veil and tarot. I came home that summer, and a friend down the street had bought a tarot deck, and she was telling me about it. And I'm like, oh, what is this? And I went out and bought a deck and I bought a book and I taught myself. So I had to be somewhere around like 19 years old. And that whole summer, I was just completely fascinated with anything that I could get my hands on and looking at these cards and figuring out what they meant and how to put sentences together and all of these. It was just fascinating. So then going back to school in the fall, just playing around and practicing. I would give girls in on campus readings, and they would come back and go, "Oh my God, you were right." And I'm like, about what? Because again, I'm thinking like this is fun. It's interesting. It's mysterious. And they just kept coming back. I'm like, you were right. You were right. Can you help me with this? And so I'm just like, oh, okay, sure. Let's pull out the cards and see what happens. Um, and so, not to say that I never took it seriously. Even being a tarot reader, I'm still a very big skeptic. I'm still a very big, how does this work? But it's a thing that keeps me coming back to it. It was also the one hobby that I could not put down for long. So tarot would be an obsession, and then life would get in the way, and I'd stop. And then I'd come back to it, and then it'd be an obsession for a while. And so this was the one that just stuck.
Right. That,
Yeah.
and that does seem to be the way
It goes.
with it too,
Yeah.
is like I know you are, and I am also a very big skeptic because I'm like, but but that makes me want to dig deeper in, right? To know
Yes.
like what
Yeah.
what is this outside realm and what is,
Hmm.
what is there beyond us?
Yeah.
How is this, how do I get these messages? Like,
Exactly. Like, how does this work? I'm always looking for how do things work,
Right.
and without having a clear-cut understanding of the rules of something, but it works, it's just mind-blowing to me. It's fascinating. And of course, just over time, because I've been reading like 20 plus years at this point, seeing my clients from when we start talking and having this initial conversation with the cards bring up and then watching them grow into the very things we talked about from that initial conversation, another piece that just keeps me just diving deeper and deeper to
It does.
help. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So do you do the oracle cards as well, or do you strictly do the tarot? You do them?
Oh, I am a card girly. So I read tarot, I read oracle, I read Lenormand, anything I can get my hands on, I'll read playing cards. But I feel like anything can be read if you just kind of take your time with it. The sky can be read, the animals can be read, and it's the messages that are always coming back to me. Communication, being a retired speech therapist, communication has always been something like just in me and in my blood.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Very nice.
so what inspired you to write this book? Obviously, because you've always loved tarot, but you
Hmm.
have a little bit of a twist in this book. So can you tell
Yes.
people what your twist is? Because this is not your average, this is what each tarot card needs and put your
Hmm.
spin on it. So can you just explain to people what your book is all about?
So, um, the short answer is, um, I have a firm belief that our personal wounds are part of our purpose. And so for me growing up, there was a lot of work that I did with just being confident. I am, a Black woman. I'm living in a larger body, and just trying to uh, not shy away from the world. And also interested in divination and all the things that can't be explained, And so, just over the course of my life, it's always just been about, well, you're different, but how do you still make it? How do you still do the things? How do you still show up? Even if there's fear, how do you still stand in your power? And so just over time and again, working with my clients also show me where my wounds are, and hearing their stories and recognizing this is a big thing when it comes to confidence, when it comes to people starting over, when it comes to, women that are going through divorce and like, I don't know what's next, or just coming in and saying, I'm lost. All of that starts with taking a leap of faith,
Right.
because if we continue to repeat the patterns, we will stay in the same place that we've already been. So again,
Right.
this element of confidence of how do you begin to trust yourself to just kind of take a baby step out of the norm to try something different. And so I love tarot, but I did not want to write another book about how to read tarot. There's so many great books about how to read
Mhm.
tarot. But with this theme of confidence, of, trusting yourself, finding your own authenticity, your own authority, your own audacity, it just kept coming back over and over and over again. And again, these were the things that I was working through just in working with my clients. And I have a firm belief that the things that my clients tell me and I respond to them, it's really a message for me to hear.
True.
It has to come out of my mouth for me to hear it to actually act on it. And so the marriage of tarot and confidence came about in that way.
Cool.
I love that.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's really neat. And I think it's really empowering too, because, you're teaching people to move to a different level when you're using the tarot and to use it to
Hmm.
empower yourself as opposed to maybe forecast for yourself. I mean, it's a bit of both, but
Hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that a lot of that also comes from just the therapy background that I have in terms of working in speech. Um, I like to sit down and have conversations. So I was talking earlier to a friend, I sometimes get a little shy about calling myself a psychic because I don't just do predictive readings. Like I love readings that are, this is where you are, this is where you want to go. So let's talk about that road in the middle. So a lot of people leave like, this felt like a therapy session. I'm like, yes, exactly.
That's the truth. It does feel like therapy on the most
Yes,
part, but I
absolutely.
guess that's what spirit wants you to give,
And I
you
love it
know?
with just the
Yeah.
whole of me. It's just yeah, it's I can't put my finger on it. I loved speech. I loved working with my kiddos. I loved working with my clients, but I didn't always like the setting or the overhead or the container that I was in. And so I know that I also did not want to kind of step out and say, okay, I'm going to do speech by myself. I never really had the drive for it. Now, when it comes to tarot and the way that I'm using it, oh, it doesn't shut up. It doesn't get quiet. It just every day, it's just like, go, try this, try this, try this.
Yeah.
That's what pulls me. That's what drives me.
yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, and it's nice that you can incorporate all of your talents that you have with
Hmm.
the speech. And I think they all play hand in hand, right? And I think this is beautiful the way that your story is kind of unfolded, that you are able to pull in, this speech therapy and a
Hmm.
sort of a counseling therapy for
Right.
people. And I know we both feel the same way, is like you're talking to
Hmm.
people, and I agree with you. You're talking to them, you're giving them advice. I always say to them, and I think you do too, it's like, I'm like, this is like a roadmap. I'm gonna like
Hmm.
give you some
Yes.
direction, and then
Yes.
you're the driver. So you can go those roads
Absolutely.
or you can not. And then when they
Yes.
converse back with you, which is my favorite thing, is
Hmm.
then I get also, like you were saying, so many messages. I'm like,
Yep.
oh,
Do I
okay.
do these ones?
Yes. Yes. But it is even in speech and working as an intuitive counselor, I like to call it, there's always this element of learning how to communicate, learning how to put your best self forward.
Yes.
So on the speech end, it's working with articulation, or if there are some irregularities, if you will. And then on this side, it's communicating who you are on a deeper level. And there's a lot of people that want to be the best version of themselves, but have to figure out how to get out of their own way. And it starts with accepting themselves, having the sense of authority or ownership, or this is my authentic self. This is what I'm interested in. This is who I am.
Right.
Once you're able to own that and harness it, like the world is your oyster at that point.
Yeah.
There's nothing that stands in your way. So it's just helping people to receive that and get to that point so that they can take that fool's leap of faith and go after who they want to be and where they want to be.
Right. True enough. Do you have a picture? Do you have your book with you right now?
I do. Yes,
You
yes,
should show
yes.
us what it looks like.
So I can do it.
Nice.
There we go. So yes,
Very
Tarot for the
nice.
Flawed and Fearless. I love the way they do the cover. Keys are also, um, I love keys. Actually, I'm wearing one now. Like skeleton keys were always a thing growing up. Just what does it unlock? What does it do? And so just bringing that piece in with the 22 keys to master self-confidence is just like each of the major arcana cards, they can unlock a piece or is this uh leveling up, if you will, in all of us. We can use these keys in different doors, to help us move through to a more confident passage, if you will.
Mhm.
Nice.
So what would you say to people then that are like, I don't even know who I am. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what my path is.
Hmm.
how can they use this book to start, like, well, obviously read it, but like how do they start using it and start using tarot to, or any kind of divination, to be able to find those and unlock those answers for themselves?
Very good question. I would say because it's the type of book where you don't have to read it from cover to cover, I'm always about chance. So, it's like if you read tarot, grab a deck, and the first major arcana you get to, that's the universe saying this is where you start.
Right.
If you don't read tarot, you can just flip through the book, and wherever your page or your finger stops, that's where you start. Or you can just start at the Fool, you know. But really, it's my first question to people when they say, "Hey, I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I am." My first question to them is always, "What are you interested in?
Mm,
What drives you? What do you get excited about?" And honestly, some of them are like, "I have no idea. I've been so far away from myself. I have no clue." And so then my response to that is, okay, then it's time for you to explore. Start putting things on your calendar just so you can show up to them to say yay or nay. How does it feel with you? Because now we're starting to narrow down, like, what are your interests? Who do you get to be without having to be somebody, if that makes
right.
sense? You
Hmm.
know? Um, and then from there, it's like, oh, okay, well, um, I'm interested in moving because the place that I live in or the city that I live in, everybody knows me as this. And I don't want to be that anymore. It's hard to become a different person when everybody knows me as this. So it's like, okay, so let's look at the chariot. Talk about movement. Let's start there and see what we're needing to do to kind of begin to work through how do I start to move,
Right.
you know? So it can just start with what do you feel like doing? What do you want? And then finding the appropriate key to kind of lead you in that direction as well.
Yeah.
So in your book, do you have questions, like prompt questions, journal prompt, or just prompt questions for people?
Yes. So each key, um, it talks about what the card, like the symbology on the card, is what the card looks like. And then also like doors that you might want to unlock, if you will, if we're talking about whatever key it is. And then from there, it's energies that you can begin to embody, things that you can begin to do for yourself to say, this is what I want. Because as I say, faith without works is dead. So we still have to show up. We still have to do something to say, this is what I want at the end of the day. And then there we talk about the symbology on the card and how, so with the chariot, what the chariot means in this card, what the wand he's holding means in that card. There's some astrological things, but then yes, there are an affirmation for each card. There's a journal prompt for each card. And I sprinkled, so not all of them have the same, but there are spreads, there are spells, and there are meditations for
Oh,
each
There
okay.
you
of the
go.
cards. Yeah, so not every card has a spread, a spell. It's just one, but they're all just kind of sprinkled in there.
Good.
Nice.
That is
Yeah.
nice.
Then you go on the journey to find them. I love journal prompts and things. Like I
Hmm.
pull, like this morning, the deck that I'm using right now is just an oracle deck, but they have
Yeah.
like kind of journal prompts, and then I
Hmm.
journal about those, and then I always find it so interesting when you could just really just let your mind go, what answers
Yes.
come back to you with them. And I love how
Yes.
you've tied it in with the tarot that way, right?
Yeah.
That you
It's
can,
nice.
Yes. So the chariot, real quick, I'll just, 'cause that's the card I just brought up. Um,
which means people have to hear this.
Yes. So the journal prompt for the tarot is, what is my highest self's vision of a goal that I'm working on right now? So like
Mm,
where do you want, what's the highest vision of that? What does that look like? I'm also about reverse engineering. So it's like have this grand delusional, if you will, idea, but then it's like, okay, so how do I reverse engineer? What's the first step that I need to take to be in alignment with what I say that I want? And it can be a baby step, but it's like I'm on that trajectory.
yeah,
The affirmation is I move toward my goals with clear focus and protected purpose. And this one has a spell for resetting. Clear your mind and clear your magic. This is a spell for when your thoughts feel foggy, your to-do list is out of control, or your energy is pulled in a million different directions. It's a sacred reset, a way to call your power back and move with clarity and intention.
I like
And
that.
because
Yes.
I'm a five ingredient or less type of kitchen gal, all of my spells are like five ingredients or less because I can't do more. And
They're
they're
not.
practical. So these are things that you can find at the Dollar General, the Dollar Tree, at the grocery store.
Which is
Um,
great because I think sometimes as humans, we so overcomplicate
Yes.
things,
oh,
right?
yes, yes.
And I just think when you keep it simple like that, and it is things that you
Mhm.
can grab around your house or buy for cheap, because that's another
Hmm.
thing, right? Is,
Yes,
to be able to do these things, to be able to live in this real world and say, oh, great, I can run to the Dollar Tree and get that candle or get the whatever it is. And I also
absolutely.
loved about the reverse engineering where you were talking about the baby steps because
Hmm.
it's just like, again, people, we so overcomplicate things. It's like we want to just make these big leaps and bounds, and
Yes.
sometimes it's just getting out of bed.
Literally just getting out of bed, but that's also confidence is something that we build, so that day that you got out of bed, you took a step. Some people might go that, well, that's not really a big step. Yeah, but for someone, that's a big step.
For some
You
it is.
know,
Yeah.
they felt confident enough to get out of bed to show their face or to take a shower or whatever. That's a build of confidence.
Mhm.
And then the next day, it's like, okay, I'm going to do something a little more. So again, it's these building blocks of trusting self and taking these baby. Because once again, once you take enough baby steps and you look back, you go, oh, I made some really big gains here. And now you're motivated to keep going, you know? So again, it's something that is built in the everyday.
It
Because if we
is.
run on this again, we run on the same pattern. Our brain likes patterns. It will repeat the same thing over and over and over and over. We can hate it, but there's an element of control that our brain says, but we know how this is going to end up. So it's okay.
It's
You
safe.
have control, or it's safe. Even if it's the worst thing in your life, it's safe. We can create calm in chaos
Hmm.
for
Yes.
that sense of control,
Yeah.
you
And how
know?
long do we stay in situations? Like a lot of us stay in situations that no longer serve us because it
Yes.
is safe. It is
Hmm.
comfortable to the stage that I don't have to
Yes.
make any changes and break out of that. But then
Hmm.
I always feel like we lose a little sense of ourselves in the
That's right.
that area
Absolutely.
too, right?
That's right.
So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
So
that's
again, yeah, even with that, it's just like, okay, so what if I just choose to do something just a little different today? It's like butterfly flap of the wings. It's like just that changes something on a grander level,
That's
yeah,
you
true.
know?
yeah,
Yeah.
So,
Very
yeah.
true.
absolutely. Well, if you had one thing to tell people to put in their spiritual kit, what would it be besides your book?
Ooh. Um, I'm always a fan of a tarot deck. I really am. And in the last few years, I would say tarot has really risen to more mainstream, where people aren't looking at it as a, oh my goodness, you read tarot
Arrow.
type of thing, you know?
Nope.
Um, my my standard answer for the longest, coming out of the tarot closet, if you will, was this is how I pray. I look at pictures and this is how I pray, you know. But in the toolkit, there's nothing I feel like having a deck that speaks to you that you like the pictures of, because when we are lost in a picture, we let our intuition take over. When our
Mhm.
intuition takes over, we receive just information or messages or just things that pop up or reminders come up. And it's losing yourself in that to allow for your highest self to say, okay, hey, how about this? What did you think about this? Well, what if we put these two things together? What could that create? So there's this creative process that begins to happen just from a deck of cards.
Yeah, that's true. Because my
You
tarot
know?
deck is mostly like a deck of cards. I love them.
Okay.
I've been using them forever. And
Hmm.
yeah, and I don't know, spirit speaks
Yeah.
to you through them, and you just have to accept that sort of thing. Sometimes
Yes.
sometimes they give you things like, really? You want me to say that?
Mhm,
You
mhm.
know?
Absolutely. Yeah. But
Yeah,
the more that you spend time with that deck, it's like it's a friend, and there's a bond that begins to happen. There's a trust that begins to happen.
that's
Again, you
true.
get a spread and a layout, and you say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. We take that baby step, and something amazing happens. Then we're immediately coming back. We're like, okay, what's the next step? I'm excited. Something turned over. It's going
Yeah.
good. What's next?
Yeah,
And so then a language and a rapport begins to happen
right.
between you and your cards, which is really just you and your higher self. And if that relationship is A100,
Yeah,
again, there's nothing that you can't do.
that's
That's right.
true.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I find like I get very drawn to cards that are, mm, I don't know, that you could just really get lost in the pictures because
Hmm.
I'm a big cloud watcher. So when you said that earlier, I
Yes.
was like, I was the other day I was actually watching the clouds in the evening and I was like, I see faces all over and all kinds of
Okay.
things, right? But so I see faces
Yeah.
in the clouds and I'm like, just I wonder if like these are messages either for me or for somebody else that I'm supposed to be giving. And it's just interesting the
Hmm.
way your brain starts working when you allow it that space to open up and start thinking
Yes.
these things, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
That's the
There are
truth.
messages in everything if we just slow down, take our time. Um, and if I can share real quick, there's a little story. We just moved, and um, I got a text from my ex, and he was saying some things, and he said something about the summer, but he spelled it wrong. He spelled it Sumner, Sumner. And I just overlooked it and kept going. And so the next week is when we actually started to look for houses. The first house we saw was on a street called Sumner. And I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
oh, this it? Is
Wow.
this the thing? Is this? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna take some books. I'm gonna donate it to the library that's like right down the street as my offering to live here in this neighborhood and the whole thing. So that house ended up falling through. So we start looking, keep looking, and a second house on Sumner comes up. We're like, we gotta go see it. So we go check out that house. It's not what we're looking for, didn't have everything. And so now we're like kind of down to the wire and we find a house and we're like, okay, we're good with this. Then my husband calls, he goes, a third house came up on Sumner on the same block as the first house we saw. And I was just like, we went to go look at it. And the process was like one, two, three, and we got in the house. So
Wow.
it's
That's
the
cool.
messages that paying attention,
Yes,
just that one word that was spelled wrong, and it led us to where we are now. It's like
That's
those are
so
the things that I get like, how does that work? How does that happen?
yeah, I
that's
was like getting all angel bumps
yeah,
all over me. I'm
goosebumps.
like,
Yeah, everywhere.
So like when those things happen, it's just like you can't deny that there's something greater, working on our behalf.
Oh
That
yeah,
again, this is what keeps me in this world. This is what keeps me lit up and saying, nope, I'm gonna stay here. This is everything changes. It's fascinating.
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Well, that's what we think too, is it's just like to me, there's just so much mystery, and I'm a forever learner, so I'm always dipping
Hmm.
my toes into all kinds
Yes.
of different things, and it's just like, what about this? Like, I don't know,
Hmm.
but it scares me, but it's kind of cool, and I think I might just investigate a little bit. And like you were
Yes.
saying earlier, like, does it stick or does it? That's not really for
Hmm.
me. Okay, put that to somewhere else, and I'm gonna move
Hmm.
on down the road, right? And
That's the
Yeah.
truth. Yeah.
it was funny the other day. I was in the vehicle at my daytime job, and I was listening to an audible, and it was about aliens.
Okay. Yes.
And so I
Yes.
got back to the office and somebody took the car after me and I was like, ooh, I hope my Audible book doesn't come.
Look at an exercise.
It's gonna be like, what? I was like, oh well, this is who I am, right? And
This is
for a
it.
long time, it was so hard for people like us all
Be
to
Hmm.
accepted.
just allow ourselves to be who we are and
Yes.
our beautiful selves.
Yes. I saw this wonderful message on a shirt some years ago, and it said, you cannot shame an unashamed person.
Well, like that.
So a lot of the work is just you owning who you are. You are who you are. And once you own that and you're just good with it, there's nothing anyone can say to you or about you that can knock you off your square.
That's true.
They say something and you're just like, yep, that's right. Yep, you're absolutely true. That happened. That is me. And now what? Like we're here. Now what? Like, what do you have to say about that? Like,
Right.
so it is that sense of that authenticity, but that authority in who you are as a person and saying, yes, I own the negative, the positive, and everything in between about myself. Because that means that you've done the forgiveness work. You've allowed yourself to, go through the process of having some not so great times, or even recognizing when you haven't been a great person, but owning it and allowing yourself to forgive yourself because of it so that you can step out with audacity. So again, there's nothing anyone can say against you about who you are because you've done the work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
done the
Yeah.
work.
It's owning your own truth, that's what it
Yes.
is. Yeah.
Yes. And when you own your own truth, there's so much self-trust that you have. And what this is the book is about is like people look at tarot and think that these outside things are going to be the things to come and save them. Tell me that I'm going to get married. Tell me I'm going to have money. Tell me I'm going to. And my thing is like, well, okay, well, let's look at like where are you now? Let's look at what are you doing now for those things. So it's going within first before asking without,
Hmm.
Right.
you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So having this book and people diving into it, it's really this way to come inside. There's so much stuff happening externally, and especially now with the rise of social media, there's so much about comparison. There's so much about, you're not enough, or you need to do more of this, or you need to compete with so and so. This book, I want people to come back to themselves to say, actually, I'm pretty cool how I am.
I
Yeah.
I'm
like
pretty
that.
okay where I am, you know. Um, so yeah, that's another big part of why this I feel is an important book at this time
Yeah.
Yeah.
because we're always searching and seeking outside of us that we have abandoned who
Hmm.
we truly are internally. So it's
Right.
like, come back home, come back
Yes.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think so. What do you hope besides that? What do you hope when people read your book is something they walk away just a little bit better, clearer, more directed on their path? What do you hope is what they walk away with?
Um, I feel like um a greater relationship with themselves. A lot of embodiment really is about getting into your body. So many of us live in our heads. So many of us live so far up here that we're detached from our physical body. And that's where your gut, your intuition, where it all speaks. So if
Right.
we're detached from that space, um, then we are just kind of overthinking and projecting. And so, what I'm hoping is, again, people come home to themselves, that they actually do the practices to get into their bodies to feel, to set up
Very
that
nice.
internal system
Yeah.
of, oh, when I feel this, it means this. Or when I feel like if you guys do human design, I am a generator and I have a sacral response. And so I'm still learning how that works of my body getting a full-blown or mm-mm. But I'm still training and I'm still learning. But that's a big thing is your body will always talk to you about what would be the best path and what wouldn't. It's only when we begin to open up that conversation with our brain that the brain says, no, no, we don't know how this program works. We don't know how it's going to end up. We've never
Right.
done it before. We don't want you to get hurt. We don't want you to die. We don't want these bad things to happen. So let's just continue to do what we've done. But that also is where anxiety comes in because our
Yeah.
gut is saying, try this new thing, bet on yourself. But your brain's like, we've never done it. And that's not a good idea. So now we get into this overthinking. Now we're in the space of, well, should I not? Should I not? I want people to get into their bodies to know this is brand new. I've never done it. I'll take a baby step. Let's just see what happens.
Yep.
And those baby
That's
steps
true.
add up.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true because like our bodies tell us so much. Like how many times have we walked into a room and just like kind of, our
Whoa.
stomach sunk or we're just like, oh,
Yes.
so comfortable here.
Yeah.
This is like our
Yes.
bodies are telling us that when we start to pay attention. But like you had kind of
Hmm.
alluded to is like we walk around so much in our heads that we can't
Hmm.
feel our bodies anymore.
Yes.
We're not
Yes.
listening, right?
Not at all. And like I said, there's so much anxiety because again, I feel like that's just the fight between our gut and our head. And they're just battling it out, just duking it out all day, every day,
All the time.
um,
Yes, that's
all
the
the
truth.
time.
Yeah, all the
So
time.
again, just the small practices of just getting into your body um, can help that communication with yourself a bit better.
Yeah,
It
absolutely. Well, it's been so much fun talking to you.
it has. It has.
Same, same.
And so, can you tell everybody where they can find you?
Absolutely. I love to hang out on Instagram. It is my favorite social media site. So I am at Red Light Readings there. I'm also on Facebook at Red Light Readings. I just joined the TikTok crowd. I think they're a bit younger than I am. So, but Red Light Readings there. And my website, www.redlightreadings.com.
Perfect. Wonderful. Well, we'll
Yes,
throw all of that stuff into the show notes for everybody so they can find you and follow along with you and get some
awesome.
tips and tricks and really get to know
Yes,
you and your energy because you have such a beautiful energy
You
about
do.
you.
Very
So,
light,
thank
very
yeah.
you.
light.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I'm
Thank
looking
you.
for I haven't read the book yet, but I'm looking forward to it and I know you
Yes.
are.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Please let me know how it goes. I hope you guys love it. It is a practice for myself and with the sun card. I've been working with the sun card in terms of visibility because it's a very vulnerable thing of putting your
Yes.
words out into the world and saying, I hope people like it, you know?
Please do.
Well, I think
But
they will the more they start to play with it and start to realize
mhm,
just like how much internal power that we actually do have and
yes.
how much connection when we want to get it, we
Hmm.
can really allow that to kind of come forward to us.
Yes.
And how it brings fun into your life and happiness into your life. You know, like if you think
Yes.
of it on the light side, it brings a joy when you pick up those cards and you start to shuffle them. You already have
Hmm.
a sense of joy that you're going, this is going to give me the messages I need. And I
Absolutely.
think that the more that people understand that, that they can get that peace when they open
Hmm.
up the deck and do what they're doing with them and have some fun
Yeah.
with it too.
And the embodiment practices they're fun. They're not just these, humdrum. It is to play. When we
Yeah.
play, we are in the greatest energy of being able to receive as well.
Mhm.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's the truth.
If you had a final thought to leave with us and all of our community, what would it be?
Ooh, um, yeah, live your life with authenticity, authority, and audacity.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, V, for being with us. We really appreciate it. Felt like just sitting, I'm sure
Yeah,
you
just
were
sitting here
just
chatting.
sitting here chatting with an old friend, and
I
it was
love
so much
it.
fun. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Yes, yes,
And
thank you.
thank you so, so much for having me. I appreciate you both so, so much.
Thank
Thanks.
you. And everyone else, we will see you on the next one.
You will.